You're driving down the highway. Two lines stretch out in front of you, one white, one yellow. You never really think about them until the moment you almost cross the wrong one. Why are some road lines yellow and others white? Is it just random paint colors, or is there a deliberate system designed to keep you alive? What if I told you the difference between yellow and white has saved countless lives, and that the decision took decades of arguments, threats of lost highway funding, and a spilled milk truck? Before 1971, almost every state in America painted their center lines white. One stubborn state refused. The federal government eventually flipped the entire system. Why yellow for danger and white for safety? What does your brain automatically understand the second you see those colors? And how did a simple color code become one of the most effective traffic safety tools ever invented? Stay with me, because the next time you see a double yellow line, you'll know exactly why it's yellow and why crossing it is so dangerous. Welcome to Story Behind the Things, the channel where we uncover the hidden stories, science, and human decisions behind the everyday systems that shape our lives. If you love learning the surprising why behind ordinary things, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Let's go back more than 100 years. In the early days of the automobile, roads had no markings at all. Drivers simply shared the space and hoped for the best. Head-on collisions were common and deadly. Then, around 1911, a man named Edward Hinz in Wayne County, Michigan, had a simple observation. He was following a milk truck that was leaking. The white milk left a clear trail down the middle of the freshly paved road. That spilled milk gave him an idea: paint a white center line to separate traffic going in opposite directions. White became the default. For decades, most American roads used white lines for almost everything. But not everyone agreed. Oregon believed yellow was better. Yellow already meant caution. It was the color of early stop signs and the slow light in traffic signals. Oregon kept painting its center lines yellow even when the rest of the country used white. In the 1950s, the federal government pressured Oregon hard, even threatening to withhold hundreds of millions in highway funds, until the state finally switched to white. Then the thinking changed again. By 1971, the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, MUTCD, the National Rulebook for Road Signs and Markings, made a decisive switch. Yellow would now be used for lines that separate traffic moving in opposite directions. White would be used for lines that separate traffic moving in the same direction and for the right edge of the road. Why? Because yellow had become the universal color of caution and warning in the human mind. Crossing into oncoming traffic is the most dangerous thing a driver can do. The brain registers yellow faster as a warning. White feels more neutral. It simply organizes space between cars going the same way. The system is elegant. Yellow lines mean opposing traffic, stay on your side. White lines mean same direction traffic or the edge of the road. Solid lines discourage or prohibit crossing. Broken dashed lines allow passing or lane changes when safe. This color code is now standard across the United States and has influenced road markings in many other countries. From a physics and visibility standpoint, both yellow and white contrast well against dark asphalt, especially when reflective beads are mixed into the paint or thermoplastic. At night, under headlights, the lines light up. Yellow's longer wavelength also tends to stand out in certain lighting and weather conditions. Psychologically, the system works because it requires almost no conscious thought. Drivers learn the rule once and then follow it automatically. The color itself becomes a silent language that reduces decision time in critical moments. In daily life, these lines quietly organize millions of vehicles every day. They prevent head-on collisions, guide lane changes, mark shoulders, and create order on roads that would otherwise be chaotic. The standardization that began in the 1970s has made American roads far more predictable and safer. The impact on society has been enormous. Uniform markings reduced confusion for drivers traveling between states. They lowered accident rates. They became part of the invisible infrastructure that makes modern high-speed travel possible. Today, the focus is on making the lines last longer and stay more visible, especially in rain, snow, and at night. Thermoplastic materials, reflective glass beads, and even raised pavement markers dots are used. Researchers continue studying how aging drivers and autonomous vehicles interact with these markings. Some places experiment with additional colors: green for bike lanes, red for bus lanes, but the core yellow and white system remains the foundation. Looking ahead, as self-driving cars become more common, the visual language of yellow and white lines will still matter. Machines need clear, consistent cues just as humans do. The basic color code invented in the 20th century is likely to remain with us for a long time. Interesting facts most people don't know. The very first modern center line was inspired by spilled milk from a truck. Oregon fought the rest of the country for decades to keep yellow center lines, and eventually the country came around to Oregon's view. Early stop signs in America were yellow, not red. Double solid yellow lines mean no passing in either direction, with limited exceptions for turns. If you ever see a yellow line on your right and a white line on your left, you are almost certainly going the wrong way on a one-way or divided road. That's the story behind why some road lines are yellow and others are white, a simple color code born from spilled milk, decades of debate, and the need to keep drivers from crashing into each other. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you're subscribed to Story Behind the Things. Drop a comment and tell me, what's another everyday system or marking you'd love us to explore next? Your ideas are read, acknowledged, and often become future videos. And if you're ready for the next story, hit that next button. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.